Hey!
Hello? Hey, what's up?
Welcome!
Long time no see!
Welcome to My Existential Crisis, the podcast where we talk about all the fun things that stress us out, including the fact that I have gotten the year wrong so many times. Because it's 2023 now.
Yeah,
So you screw up the date. How many times have you gotten the date wrong?
Literally never. None.
Ever?
Which is surprising because I usually do all the time.
Oh, okay.
But I also don't know if I don't think I have had to write the date out yet. So there's also that.
I actually haven't gotten it wrong that many times. I did get the month wrong.
I didn't get the month wrong. But I just don't think I pay attention to the year. I'm just like,
Well, my friends and I were signing in for like an escape room the other day, and instead of putting 1/3/23, I put 11/3/23.
Oh.
Yeah, and they were like,
that's not it.
I was like, did I get the year right? And they were like, yeah, but you got the month wrong. And I was like, no, I didn't.
You skipped ahead 8 months.
And I was like, oh.
That's not the math. It's 10 months. I don't know. Oh, sorry.
We're doing good. We're doing great.
I'm sorry. I'm such a stupid idiot. Hi, I'm Madison Happily. Did we say that? No, this is a fucking mess. I'm sorry.
I'm Hailey Guffrey.
Yeah, you know who we are. I hope you do by now, at least. If this is your first episode with us, you missed a couple, and I'm sorry that this is what you're starting out with.
I would say it's usually more like streamlined than this, but it's not.
Yeah,
really.
No, it's
more my fault than yours. Today we're just both messy.
Yeah, I feel messy today. That's a good way to describe it.
It's been a time.
A time.
I had a panic attack earlier today because my dog ate a grape.
I was gonna say, Calf already ate a grape. Also, dogs can't have grapes?
No. So
I didn't know that.
For those of you out there with fur pets, fur babies, any kind of grape, don't do it.
Why?
There's like a toxin in them that is like,
oh shit.
Yeah, and luckily for us, Caffrey is a bigger dog. He's about 70 pounds. So the level of he needs about like 5 grapes for it to be like toxic.
Oh, but shit.
Everything online.
How toxic would it be if it's toxic?
Oh, it can cause like kidney failure, like immediately.
Oh
like,
shit.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's
I didn't know this.
Like
I've had cats all my life.
Yeah. I was like just getting a little snack. Like, listen, I've been trying to be healthier since the start of the new year, and every time I've tried to be healthier, it's blown up in my face. Like Tuesday, I got up early. Got up at like 7, which is early for me. It's only about 45 minutes earlier than usual, but I got up. I was like, I'm gonna go downstairs, I'm gonna have breakfast at home, and I'm gonna do like a little 10-minute morning workout. Fell down the stairs.
Oh,
Fell down the stairs. I don't know. I keep thinking about how it happened, and I don't know. But I fell down the stairs, and it didn't really hurt. Like, my tailbone was a little, like, sore, but not noticeable.
Was it like it just like kept going down the stairs?
No,
it was like a slip and dip.
It was like a slip and dip.
Okay.
But I think I went down like 2.
Oh.
And I stood up, and like I said, it didn't hurt, but I was so inconvenienced by it that I just started crying.
Oh.
And I was like, I just wanted to wake up and be healthy and do all this stuff, and my life sucks, and it's not fair. I was like, it's not fair.
Sorry for laughing.
And it's fine. It's funny. And my boyfriend was like, I know, honey.
I know.
Still did my workout, though. Still did everything I set out to do. I just did
Hell yeah.
I just did it
crying.
In very bad
pain.
mood. I was very pissed.
I'm proud of you.
I was more mad than I was sad. I was like, I was so irritated. And then, yeah, tonight, I'm like, I'm going to get a snack. And I was going to get these chips. These, like, Cheez-It Puffs. Which, if you haven't had them, you need to try them. They're so good.
Cheez-It Puffs?
Cheez-It puffs. They're like
I have not had them.
Obviously, they're like cheese balls.
Okay.
But they're Cheez-Its.
Oh.
And I can't explain it, but you know how you can bite into a Cheez-It and separate it in half? You can do that with these. And I don't know why, but it tickles my brain. And
I'm trying to think of how that works, and I can't.
You just bite down on the sides.
Is it like fluffy?
Yeah, it's basically it's the same consistency as like a cheese ball or a cheese puff.
But instead of like crumbling, it like stays in half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's just good. They're good. But then I was like, and those even aren't that bad. It's like 40 pieces or 150 calories, which for chips, it's pretty good. Because usually it's like, yeah, you can have 10 chips, but that'll be 100 calories, bitch. So, you know, it's better. It's just better.
Yes.
But then I decided on the grapes, and one rolled off, and before I could grab it, Caffrey got to it. And at first I was kind of like, okay, that happened. And then I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute. They can't have those, can they? Can they? And then I Googled it and it was like, your dog can die. And I was like, ugh.
Oh.
Christian had to pay $75 to call the vet.
Oh, fuck.
Not the vet, the poison control.
You have to pay to call poison control?
Uh-huh.
What?
Yep. And it was
I didn't know. I thought it was a free service, like the police.
So
I don't pay to call the police.
So did we.
How did you know that you got charged? Did they like?
They say
not give you the answer?
They say it at the top. They're like, you will get a $75, like a one-time $75 charge, for calling.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I had no idea. Who runs this operation? Is it the government?
I don't know. But he had called.
I'm pissed. I'm so upset. That is so upsetting to me.
He had called.
How often are you told? Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
It's fine.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm angry about this news.
How do you think I felt?
Like, what are you supposed to, like, you are told specifically to call poison control if your child or pet or something ingests something that you don't know if they're supposed to. Like, what if people can't afford that?
I don't know. Well, to be honest, I don't know if it's...
I hate this. I hate this.
I don't know if it's a specific... Like, I don't know if it's a different poison control. Like, I don't know if it's, like, animal poison control versus, like, children poison control. I don't know. But anyway.
Still, it shouldn't
annoying.
cost anything.
Yeah, it was still very irritating. And they just told us that he should be okay. So, I mean, that's good.
Oh, cool. Cool.
But, yeah, I love when I spend money to be told nothing.
Yeah, it's great.
But at least everything's fine. But, yeah. And then I went and got toe surgery yesterday, so I'm just thriving.
I didn't know that. This is news. Oh, sorry. Did you hear that?
No.
I have to take my medicine. I'm not going to take it. I'm just going to mark it as taken, and then I'll take it later.
Please. I'm going to text you after this to make sure you take it. I'm going to set an alarm for 10 o'clock. Tell Madison to take her meds.
Thanks.
Because I love you, but I don't trust that you'll remember.
I don't trust me either. I know this is a bad decision, but I'm going to make it anyway.
I'm going to set my alarm.
Speaking of bad decisions with not remembering things,
What?
I can't remember what I was going to say.
Oh my god.
I'm not even kidding you. I had a whole thing I was going to say before, and I was like, oh, I'll remember. And I don't. I hate myself. You know what I was going to do? I was going to ask you if you had ADHD because I couldn't remember if you did or not.
I mean...
And then I was going to talk about my own and what I presume to be my own and the struggles I've been having. That's what it was. But I don't remember. I had like a whole segue going in here and I don't remember it. Sorry.
It's fine. I'm not diagnosed, but I probably do have ADHD. I remember when Helen Stern looked at me in high school and I said, I think I might have ADD. And she said, oh, you do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you do.
Or like ADHD. She just looked at me and she was like, yeah. Yeah, you do. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks, Hellbell. So
yeah, your dog.
Yeah,
Cafferty.
so that's not his name.
Cafferty?
No.
Isn't that what you texted me?
Not on purpose.
I thought you texted me Cafferty. And Hailey, I can't remember shit.
It's Caffrey. Caffrey and Cole.
Caffrey and Cole. I thought it was Cafferty. I can't do names. I can't remember anything.
When you came over for Halloween and you were so sure that Cole's name was Cody. And so
I was so
your
sure.
quiplash answer was like, Cody's a good boy or something. And
because I had asked you, Hailey, I had asked you at least 5 times at this point what your dog's name was, and I couldn't ask again. And I was so sure.
And there was someone else had said something about Cole, yes. And you were like, "Who's Cole?"
Like, "Who's Cole?"
And I was like, "The black dog," and you were like, "Oh no!" And I said, "Why?" And you said, "You'll see." And then it was Cody's a good boy. Okay. Madison, how was your week? How has your time been on this planet?
My week has been good. It's been super busy. I'm still just trying to put the apartment together, and it's coming along. Like I mentioned before, I'm just very overwhelmed by like all the little things that I have to do. So it's just like every one task feels like a million tasks. David was upset because like I have a million little piles around the apartment, and I understand this. I'm upset with myself as well, but like I look at a pile and it's not like, oh, I have to take care of this pile. It's I have to take care of every little thing in this pile, and I have to make decisions for each of these things, and I don't know how to make decisions for each of these things, so I'm just gonna not do this now and I'll do it later. So that's where my brain goes, because it's so much. There's so much to think about and there's so much to do that like I just get so overwhelmed, and so many of those things happening right now in this apartment, and it's all like little things that like I don't know what to do with, and it just feels very overwhelming for me. And like I'm sure that sounds so over dramatic, but I don't understand how to explain to people how overwhelming it feels. It sounds so silly.
No,
but
I get it. That's how I feel. I think like just little things can seem so overwhelming.
Yes.
When there's
and it's
like, you know, that if you just get it done, like,
yes.
Like a couple days ago, I just like was like, okay, I'll just clean up the trash in the bedroom. And then I ended up cleaning the whole bedroom because I just kept getting like sidetracked.
Like, if you do one thing, you have to do all of these other things.
Yeah.
And like the one thing I really love about David is that he's a really good balance for me in that, because he's very black and white, whereas I am like all gray in color. I'm a rainbow and grayscale. He is black and white. Like for him, it is very simple. Like you do this, you just take care of it. And I love that about him, but it's just very different from me. And I admire that, and I want to be that, and I know that I need that. So I appreciate him for bringing that into my life.
Anything worth doing,
strive to be like that.
Anything worth doing is worth doing half-assed.
Yes. And I have to keep reminding myself to do that. And it's really hard because I don't like doing things half-assed. Yeah. I don't like just doing things for the sake of doing it. I try. Like today, I moved the bookshelf to the spot that we want it to be in. And I moved the things that we want to be on it. But I didn't worry about like arranging it perfectly. I just put the things on it that needed to be on it and just let it be there, which is really bothering me right now.
I feel like you and I are the same but different in this. Like I think we both have the same mindset, but whereas I'm like, I don't want to like, I don't do it because I'm just like, I don't. Like, if I do one thing, I have to do, I'm not going to feel like I can just do one thing. So, like, if it's not, I'm someone who's like, if it's not going to be perfect the first time, then why bother at all?
I understand that. I really do.
But I think you're the kind of person that's like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do all of it.
See, that's the thing. Like, I'm not, though. Like, I'm trying to be that person. I'm very much with the job that I have, and like all of their self-help books and like all of their little mantras and stuff have been like a huge help for me. And also David has also taught me a lot about, you know, that shift in mindset, because I try so hard to break out of it, and I am trying really hard in this new apartment, and it is really hard, but I really am trying. But yeah, it's fine. It's a work in progress. I just keep trying to tell myself that, and like I'm trying to, I want things to be done right now,
right.
but I'm trying to not feel overwhelmed by that and allow myself to not feel that pressure of that rush. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. But yeah, my week's been fine despite all of that. I have had play rehearsal, which has been really nice. This has been the most direction and playfulness that I've gotten in a show, I think, ever. But yeah, it's been a good week.
Good.
I'm excited for the weekend and to just have a productive, slow day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So, Madison.
Guff Puff.
Do you know War of the Worlds?
Yeah. Are you going to tell me about what happened?
No.
Oh.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about something else.
Okay.
But keep War of the Worlds in your mind.
Okay.
Keep it in there. Just keep it in there.
Okay. All right.
Ghostwatch was a direct-to-TV pseudo-documentary that aired on BBC on Halloween in 1992. The film was posited as a ghost hunt that was being done in real time, a la War of the Worlds. The hunt focuses on the early family who believe themselves to be plagued by the apparition, nicknamed by the younger daughter Kim, Pipes. This hunt featured Sarah Green, who was a prominent children's television host. So I discovered Ghostwatch today, actually, like hours ago.
Okay.
And it was so interesting that I really wanted to talk about it on here.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So what is it again?
It is. I'm so glad you asked.
Okay.
It was a show.
Like a TV show?
Like a TV movie.
Okay.
That was released on BBC on Halloween in 1992. And it was like the Blair Witch or like the radio show
when you say
War of the Worlds.
A la War of the Worlds,
like
you mean
War
like the
of
radio show?
Where it is
it
is a dramatized event that is being
So I guess to rewind, for those of you who don't know, War of the Worlds it was a book, but it was adapted by the writer to be a radio show. And so what he did was, it was like in the 30s, I think, the 30s or 40s. What he did was it was being read as if they were news broadcasts. So War of the Worlds is a story about an alien invasion. And in the mid-20th century, it's being read on radio as if they are actual breaking news podcasts. And if you were tuning into it in the middle, you wouldn't know it was a radio show. They did have, like, in the beginning, they're like, this is a excerpt of this new book, War of the Worlds, by, I forget who wrote it. But then if you just turn in the middle, you didn't know what was happening. You thought there was a real alien invasion, and it caused mass hysteria.
Yes.
So, okay, I didn't want to clear that up for people who didn't know what the War of the Worlds thing was.
I can't imagine that there's anyone who doesn't, because they well, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we know about it very well.
But we were taught about it. We were taught about it in school.
Area.
Yeah, we were.
I wasn't.
I was.
My dad told me about it.
Oh,
one of my parents told me about it.
When I was in school, we were taught about it.
Really?
Yeah. I swear to God. Someone taught me in school about War of the Worlds. Don't remember who. I thought it was Weaver, but I could be wrong. But also, you could have been in, like, a higher class than I was, and they got taught different things, so who knows anymore.
I don't know.
Okay, back to it. In the same vein of War of the Worlds, Ghostwatch was a direct-to-TV pseudo-documentary that aired on BBC on Halloween in 1992. The film was posited as a ghost hunt that was being done in real time. The hunt focused on the early family who believed themselves to be plagued by an apparition known as Pipes. The hunt featured Sarah Green, who was a prominent children's television host, and featured a on-air call center.
Jeez.
where there was a number that you could actually call. Although, like, when you called the number, you were told when you called the number, hey, this isn't real, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
But there was a real number you could call, and they were like, this isn't real, but go ahead and tell us your story anyway. And BBC was bombarded with 30,000 phone calls the night the movie aired, with people panicking and angry. Again, much like the War of the Worlds radio broadcast.
Jeez.
So I actually watched, the movie is available to watch on Tubi, which is like a free...
Yeah.
It's a free streaming platform. And
what is it called one more time? Ghostwatch?
Ghostwatch. And I watched it just like... I started it a couple hours ago. And it's short. It's like an hour and a half. And it was really good. It was really creepy. And it was very...
Oh, shit.
What?
I just looked it up on YouTube, and it has a viewer discretion warning, and it says content may contain suicide or self-harm topics.
Yeah.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, when you go looking, if you go looking, just be warned that there are instances of brief talks of suicide, brief talks of self-harm. There is child endangerment. There is talk of animal abuse and endangerment. So if you do go and watch it, just so you know,
this is fascinating.
It's very cool. I
haven't heard of this.
It was very, very well done. It was done in such a way, like, the host was Michael Parkinson as himself, who, again, I believe was also he was a popular actor in the day. And watching it, it was so well done in the way that, like, Michael Parkinson versus the expert paranormal, like, name's Dr. Lynn Pascoe. The difference between them, like, she is so, like, we believe these people, something's going on, and he's very much like, is it? And I don't know. I think that makes it so much more believable when not everybody does believe. I think that's I think that's a really good way to do, like, a mockumentary, pseudo-documentary series. And it follows... It cuts back and forth between what's going on in the home that these, like, ghost hunters are in, and back and forth to the studio where people are calling in, and on the phones you're getting a lot of people complaining of eerie happenings in their own homes. So not only are people calling in with complaints of, like, a woman says that her table has shattered, people's clocks are stopping, people's radios are dying, all kinds of crazy things are happening to all these people around the country. But also calls are coming in that are sort of piecing together the story within this world of this specter known as Pipes. And Pipes, I love that they did this. Pipes got his name from the little girl, from the younger, there's two daughters, and the younger of the two nicknamed this spirit Pipes, because when noises would go off in the house, things would start banging and rattling around, her mom would just say, oh, that's just the pipes. So I think I think that was really, really cool.
I think that's really well done in terms of, like, spook factor.
The film, I have to say, was very well done. It has a 7.0 rating on IMDb and a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Very highly rated, and it was credited as, like, the first horror, like, mockumentary or pseudo-documentary of its time. It predates The Blair Witch by 7 years and has led to the inspiration of several successful works in the horror genre, including recently a movie called Host, which is a 2020 found footage film, which takes place entirely over Zoom, and it is full of references to Ghostwatch. However, with as popular as this film seems to be, it only ever aired once on BBC. It was never re-aired for kind of, I don't want to say malicious reasons, but not for good reasons. The night the movie aired, BBC was bombarded with 30,000 phone calls And 5 days after the show aired, 18-year-old Martin Denham took his own life.
Oh my gosh.
His family's heating system was faulty and caused the pipes to knock, which reminded him of the activity showcased in Ghost Watch.
Oh my gosh.
And instilled in him a panic. In the wake of his death,
honey.
His mother and stepfather blamed the BBC for his untimely demise. The Broadcasting Standards Commission, who initially refused to listen to the altogether 35 complaints lauded to them over the program, eventually released a statement that read in part, "The BBC had a duty to do more than simply hint at the deception it was practicing on the audience. In Ghost Watch, there was a deliberate attempt to cultivate a sense of menace, and that more should have been done to assure audiences that the program was a farce." Much like with War of the Worlds, at the beginning of the broadcast, there was, of course, a written by there were credits, and there were more famous people, like I mentioned, Sarah Green, who was one of the ghost hunters, was a prominent children's television show host, but she was portraying, like, herself in this show. Even Michael Parkinson's own mother called in. She was afraid. Damn. She was freaked out. And BBC had said that if they had released, like, statements in the middle of the programming, it would have ruined the energy.
Like the shock.
The energy surrounding this dramatization. They never aired it again. And there was also pushback at the fact that the ghost hunting team was headed by someone who was a well-known children's show host.
Yeah.
A rumor even persisted that on Sarah Green's show Going Live, which again was primarily viewed by children, Ghostwatch was promoted by the host and marketed to its young audiences as a new reality show.
Oh.
However, that was debunked. There was a documentary done on Ghostwatch, I believe in 2010, that was just kind of like about the making of Ghostwatch and like the legacy that it has now, and like its pop culture presence.
Significance.
Yeah. They looked through the 3 episodes that were most likely to showcase any kind of segment on the show about Ghostwatch, and they found no reference to the show. Green did, however, appear on the following Monday's programming to reassure the younger viewers that the show was not real, but it is.
So they didn't market it to the kids, but they did like mention to them afterwards that it wasn't real.
Because again, children had parents weren't sure. They were kind of unsure as to whether or not they could show.
Well, especially like in the 90s, I mean, things were rated PG that nowadays would be rated R.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a very different time for television viewing. So, yeah, like, I could imagine this being, like, okay, it's a scary thing, but we're going to watch it as a family, you know?
Right. And it was aired under the Screen One Drama banner, which was an anthology drama series produced by BBC, but because of the documentary style, it led many viewers to believe that the events were real. Film's producers argued that Ghostwatch had aired during a drama slot, and it was recognizable as fiction to a vast majority. They also stated that had they anticipated the audience reaction, they would have made its fictional nature clearer, but they did issue an apology. Ghostwatch is the first show to ever lead to reported cases of PTSD.
Oh my gosh.
There were 2 cases of post-traumatic...
Like for real?
Yeah. In the British Medical Journal in February of 1994, there were 2 cases described of Ghostwatch-induced post-traumatic stress disorder in children, both 10-year-old boys.
Oh my gosh.
And responses to the article described a further 4 cases in children aged between 11 and 14. The conclusion of the article was that the rapid resolution of the children's symptoms suggests that the children suffered a brief anxiety reaction to the television program. Although they may have exhibited some of the features of post-traumatic stress disorder, this diagnosis in their cases is inappropriate. So it was the first time that it was really looked into as, like, PTSD being linked to a television program. But of course, like with Martin Denham, the consequences were just all too real for his family and for those children who, even if it was just a brief anxious reaction, still probably felt that fear and that. I mean, like, think about, like, there's stuff now I watch and I'm like, oh my god, this is...
Well, yeah, of course.
And this was, if I had watched this when I was, like, 9 or 10 and had thought it was real... I mean, I remember when I was, like, 9 or 10, and my dad would watch, like, Ghost Hunters, and I literally, like, in a panic, devised a, like, plan to, like, keep ghosts out of my... Like, I locked my doors, I put chairs up in front of my closet doors, like... It was, like, I was freaked out about ghosts for a very long time. Now I'm more comfortable with the idea of them. I still don't... Yeah. Like, I believe in them and I respect them. I don't necessarily, like, I'm very, I'm very weird about it. Like,
You're respectful of
them. Like, I would love to go to, like, I stayed at the Lizzie Borden Hotel. Yeah. Like, I like stuff like that. But, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to live in a haunted house. I don't want to deal with that every day.
It's fun to visit, but you wouldn't want to constantly be experiencing that.
And so, like, living in that when I was younger, there was always that sort of, like, that fear. I was terrified for a long time. And so, like, I kind of get it. Like, I wouldn't... Yeah. Yeah, for Martin Denham and his family, he was terrified. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure. It's hard to say, like, what all can be attributed to, like, a TV show. But
but it still played a part, you know?
And, like, the media is so,
like, I understand that it was scary, but, like, what about it was scary? And I also am recognizing that it was the 90s, and what we think being, like, realistic and scary now is a little bit different than it was then. But, like, was it actually, like, super graphic?
It was not... It was creepy. As someone who watches a fair amount of horror, it was creepy. There were a couple moments where I was like, ooh. But I think what's scary the most about it is the
thinking it's real.
Like,
exactly. No, I completely understand that.
Blair Witch is one of the most boring horror movies I have ever seen. I've never seen it. I do not like that movie. I think it is so boring. But, and I watched it, the first time I watched it, I was like, I can't believe that this film is something that people were terrified of. And my dad was afraid of it. Like, really? Yeah, he came home scared when he went and saw that movie. According to, my mom. Like, he came home and he was freaked out. Yeah. But then you think about the marketing of it. There were actors who were never... Like, these were unknown actors.
Yeah. Everyday people for what you know.
Yeah. There were missing posters around for them, like, as part of the marketing for the film.
Oh, shit.
There was all kinds of stuff.
I didn't know that.
It was heavily marketed as something that was... Like, how much do you know about, like, the marketing of Blair Witch Project?
None at all.
It was...
I know, obviously, that they marketed it to be as, like, this is real, but that's it.
It was... insane. It was one of the first, like, widely released films that was marketed primarily by the internet, and it had an official website which featured faux police reports as well as newsreel style interviews and fielding questions about the missing students, aka the students that are featured in the film.
Holy shit. Well, yeah, obviously it's so much scarier then. Like, you see all of this stuff. It, like you said, it adds to the creep factor. Like, it's not just...
They asked people to come forward with any information about the missing students. The IMDb page listed the actors as missing, presumed dead, for the first year that the film was available. So not just... Like, the film came out and there was this big premiere and they all came out for it and you know it's not real. No. Like...
Damn.
The film's website had materials of actors posing as police and investigators, which gave testimony about their casework. But it was...
over the top.
Yeah. The legend was fabricated. people really believed that this really happened.
Yeah.
And again, the movie's nothing really happens.
No, but it's
and
still,
now
like,
I think that, like, if I had probably if I had seen it at the time without knowing what had happened and how it was done, I'd be scared. I'd be freaked out.
Yeah.
That's why I love found footage movies and movies like this.
Same, because I hate the super cheesy stuff, but if it's done really well like this, I am like, as messed up as it might sound, like, I love this kind of stuff. Like, this is what really
it's like
creeps me out.
This is just me going on a tangent about, like, you gotta check out Lake Mungo. Lake Mungo is so well done. It's such a well done horror film. It's such a well done.
I've not heard of that.
Mockumentary. Like, I keep saying mockumentary, but I think the true term is pseudo documentary.
No, I think pseudo documentary. It's like
it's basically the same thing, but I feel like people think more of, like, mockumentary is Borat or Borat or whatever, but like, whereas a documentary is more like, or pseudo documentary is more like like Ghost Watch or like Lake Mungo. But anyway, I digress. I'm digressing so much, but basically, there's really just something about, like, the mass hysteria that, like, belief. Yeah. So, like, 30,000 phone calls.
I think that's what gets me more than anything. I think it's not
30,000 people across the country.
Yeah, that's what fascinates me, is that I think it's just like that inner, like, we just believe it, you know? That's scary.
Just people want to believe in something.
Yeah.
And I think that is the scariest thing about all this.
I 100% agree. Okay. Are you ready for my story?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I do want to apologize briefly. I originally wanted to do a different story, but I didn't have the time to give it this week that I thought that it deserved. I think I said, like, either the last episode or the episode before that even, that I had a request and I was going to do that story, and I have not done it yet. But Owen, I heard you. I promise you that next week I will be covering the story that you requested from me.
So is Owen
but not this
is Owen a friend? Do we know Owen?
Owen is a friend of David. Okay. So he's a friend of mine now too. Okay. But I met Owen through David.
I just wasn't sure if Owen was, like, just a random person.
No. Or if no, he is a friend. He is a friend. But he did have a request.
He's random to me.
Yeah, he's random to you. Yes, exactly. So, not doing your story, Owen, but I am doing another one that's closely related. The story that Owen wanted me to cover was set in Ireland, and a movie was made after it. So a little sneak peek for next week. But so for this week, I'm going to do another Irish story. And I also think either a movie was made about it, or at the very least, a television episode of some kind. So I'm just going to get into it. I'm rambling too much. I'm so sorry. I'm messy this week. Have you ever heard of Michael Malloy?
Have I heard of Michael Malloy?
I don't know. He was also known as Mike the Durable and Iron Mike, or the Rasputin of the Bronx.
No, I've not heard of Michael Malloy.
Michael Malloy was the man who wouldn't die. And it is a murder story, but it is one of my favorites, and that sounds so not right. I'm not at all saying murder is a good thing, but I love this story so much, and I think you'll understand why whenever I tell you it. So, who is Michael Malloy? Michael Malloy was an immigrant originally from Donegal, Ireland, but he lived in New York City from the 1920s to the 1930s. He used to be a firefighter, but because of the Great Depression, he fell in hard times. He lost his job, became an alcoholic. Soon he was homeless. No one really knew much about him. They didn't even know how old he was. He didn't have any friends or any family that anyone knew of. He didn't have any job besides collecting trash or the odd job here or there. He was very happy to be paid in alcohol instead of actual money because he was a very heavy alcoholic. just to describe Michael Malloy a little bit better if you haven't gotten him already, the Daily Mirror wrote this about him. They said Michael Malloy was just part of the flotsam and jetsam in the swift current of the underworld speakeasy life. Those no longer responsible derelicts who stumble through the last days of their lives in a continual haze of Bowery smoke. So basically, he's just a tumbleweed rolling around. No one knows who he is.
He's just tumbling along.
Flotsam and jetsam. That's what he is.
Incredible.
So, to placate his vice, being an alcoholic, he did go to a lot of speakeasies to drink the day away. And I mean drink the day away. He would go in and open, drink until either it was closing time or until he passed out, and then come back the next day. This one speakeasy he frequented was run by a man named Tony Marino. And he would come in every day at open, ask for another marnin's marnin if you don't mind, and be passed out on the floor a few hours later. Marino started to let him drink on credit, but then at one point, Michael just stopped paying his tab entirely. This, like I mentioned, every day for weeks, this was the routine. Michael would come in, ask for another marnin's marnin, and pass out. So, in July of 1932, Marino, the one who owned the speakeasy, confided in a couple of his regulars, Francis Pasqua and Daniel Kreisberg, that business was bad and money was tight. Francis Pasqua said, "Why don't you take life insurance out of Malloy? I can take care of the rest." Marina knew that Pasqua, he was an undertaker, had committed a similar plot the previous year. Pasqua befriended a homeless woman named Mabel Carson, convinced her to take out a $2,000 life insurance policy on herself, naming him as the sole beneficiary. And so after all that, one night, it was very cold, he force-fed her alcohol, got her so drunk she passed out. He took off her clothes, threw cool water all over her in the bed, and pushed the bed near an open window. She obviously froze to death, and her cause of death was ruled as bronchial pneumonia, and Pasqua got the money without a hitch. So, similarly, Michael Malloy didn't have any friends, didn't have any real connections to the world. No one would really notice if he went missing, right? Additionally, he was pretty much on his last leg. He was literally drinking himself to death every day. So Pasqua was like, this is going to be so much simpler. Like, he's going to do the heavy lifting for us. We might as well make some money off of it because he's going to die anyway. Look at him. So Daniel Kreisberg, I mentioned him. He's not super important to the story, but he does get convicted in the end. So he's a grocer. He agreed to help out in order to get some of the money for his family, but he really does next to nothing. He's just kind of along for the ride. So these three set out to plot what they thought would be a very quick and easy plan. It was not. Not in the slightest.
Is it ever? When murder's involved?
Hailey, when I tell you the lengths to which this was not an easy plan, your mind will be blown. I promise. Okay, so Pasqua offered to do all of the legwork and arrange all of it since he had already done so successfully. He paid a friend to accompany him to the insurance office to get the policy. So this friend was pretending to be, they used the name Nicholas Malloy, and claimed this person was a florist, which Pasqua, because he was an undertaker, he got somebody at his funeral home to verify, quote unquote, that he was a florist. So 5 months and a shady insurance agent later, they finally secured 3 policies for this made-up man named Nicholas Malloy, who they were going to pass Michael Malloy off as. So since Pasqua had literally just collected insurance on somebody else, he got another one of his buddies at the speakeasy named Joseph Murphy to be the sole beneficiary for this guy that they made up. So he's going to be the one to identify the body as his next of kin. He's going to be the beneficiary, but they're all going to split the money. Are you following me so far?
So they're... No.
Okay. What are we confused on so I can back up? This is the most complicated part of just setting this plot up is the most complicated part.
So he's going to be...
So this guy, Francis Pasqua, he knows a way. He knows insurance people. So he has to make up a person. He can't actually use Michael Malloy because Michael Malloy doesn't have any next of kin or any friends to be a beneficiary for.
Why wouldn't they just make up a person for Michael Malloy to have as a beneficiary? Like a long lost cousin or something, or like a brother. Or...
They would also have to convince Michael Malloy to do this, and the way that they tricked him into doing it was they said that he was signing papers to help someone run for local office. He didn't know he was signing insurance papers, so they were trying to kind of slip this under his nose so that he didn't even know what he was signing up for. Does that make sense? So instead of going up to Michael and being like, Michael, I think you should take out life insurance, and I think that you should name me, a random stranger, the beneficiary, they decided to make up a person, make up an occupation, verify this made up person, and go that route instead.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And it was much easier to do that in the 1920s and 30s than it would be today.
Because records back then were shit.
They were shit. It was the Great Depression. They didn't have anything. People were doing whatever they could to make a buck. You know, it was chaos. Prohibition was still happening. So, you know, shows you how chaotic it was. Anyway, so once everything worked out, once Michael Malloy was dead, once they claimed the insurance money, the four of these people would split $3,575, which in today's money is a little over $68,000 between the four of them. So one night...
Go ahead. They're splitting that amount between the four of them?
Yes, they're splitting $68,000 between the four of them, and... Hailey, just you wait. If you think that's not a lot, just wait. Just you wait.
That's not a lot.
Okay. I know.
You're right.
You say it's still a lot?
No, I said... Well, I mean, listen.
It's a lot.
The Great Depression.
Don't get me wrong.
And for
it's a lot.
Who loves money. I think we
talked about this first episode.
Yeah, we've established that money talks and I listen.
I'm just saying, you don't need four people to do this.
Oh no.
You got the grocer who's doing literally nothing and you're getting him in on the plan.
Well,
he just happened
maybe
to
he's
be there
just
that night.
We don't know what he was like. Maybe he was a really great guy. And maybe they were like, you know
he's
what?
He's killing somebody.
Well, maybe he was a partier and he was a fun person to party with.
That's true. They wanted the it's the grocer. He can get you it's the Great Depression. He can get you a good deal on food.
On ham.
On a good ham.
I want ham. I love ham.
I just had ham today. I had a ham sandwich.
I didn't.
Grilled cheese.
I didn't have dinner because I had a really big lunch.
Okay.
It was really big.
That's okay. I understand. All right. So, the murder attempts, plural. One night in December. Now, I just want to give you, before I go into this, I know I just did all that. I want to just give you a quick timeline here. So, July was whenever they first plotted to do this. And it took this long to get the paperwork in order and to come up with a plan. Now we're in December.
Jesus.
So,
these guys are going to be really good at whatever it is they have to do.
You'd think.
They're going to be so good at
right? it. Right? You'd think. Okay, hold that thought. So, one night in December, the murder trust, as the papers would call them, they gathered to the bar to set the plan in motion. Tony Marino welcomed Michael Malloy in, telling him that he had an open-ended tab. Times were tough, and he had to bend the rules to keep up with the competition. That was the excuse for the open-ended tab. Doesn't make much sense, but you know what? Michael bought it, and he didn't have to buy anything. That was the best part. He was so happy. He sat down and he drank one shot after the next. A witness claimed Malloy had been a hard drinker all his life, and he drank on and on. As soon as Michael finished his shot, before he could even set his glass down, Tony was pouring him another, over and over and over again. He still remained upright. His breathing was still consistent. The color still stayed in his face, shot after shot after shot. And this was like whiskey and hard, like gin, like hard stuff. This isn't a mixed drink. This isn't a cocktail. This isn't beer. This is straight hard liquor. So soon he was done. He wiped his mouth with a sleeve, thanked his host for the hospitality, and said he'd be back soon. And he was. For the next 3 days, this continued. Michael only stopping his drinking, constant drinking, to eat a complimentary sardine sandwich.
Gross.
At this point, the crew, they were just hoping he would pass out and like either fall down and smack his head and die, or they were really banking on him choking on his vomit. So they kept like pounding him with food and liquor. But nothing. This guy did not budge. Like, still could stand not budge. On the 4th day, Michael Malloy stumbled into the bar and said, "Boy, ain't I got a thirst." Tony wanted to get this over with and just shoot Michael in the head, but Murphy recommended, hey, why don't we just swap out his whiskey and gin with wood alcohol, which is basically antifreeze. So
Really?
drinks, yeah. A tangent. I don't know why. I used to want to drink antifreeze because I thought it looked really pretty. And
How old were you the first time you watched Heathers?
I was older.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I was like 6th grade, I think, 5th or 6th grade. I was like 5 when I wanted to drink antifreeze.
What does antifreeze even look like?
It's like pretty blue.
Well, according to Scream Queens... Oh, never mind. That's rat poison. Never mind.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get to rat poison.
Cool,
Don't worry.
good. So I'll keep my Scream Queens fun fact in the back of my pocket.
Well, cool, because I'm going to give you a fun fact about wood alcohol right now.
Great.
So, drinks containing only 4% of wood alcohol, which again is basically antifreeze, could cause blindness. And by 1929, more than 50,000 people nationwide had died from the effects of impure alcohol. They would serve Michael Malloy not shots tainted with wood alcohol, straight up wood alcohol. Literally just straight up. A 4% of this could blind someone, and they were just giving him whole fucking shots of it.
His liver
just you wait.
Okay.
So Tony gave him a few shots of whiskey just to get him feeling good right before he made the switch, but still, shot after shot of wood alcohol. Michael kept asking for more. He showed no signs of physical impairment other than that of regular intoxication. The New York Evening Post reported he didn't know that what he was drinking was wood alcohol, and what he didn't know apparently didn't hurt him. He drank all the wood alcohol that was given and came back for more. So then this continued for night after night. Tony kept pouring Michael shots of straight up wood alcohol night after night, and the same thing happened shot after shot. He kept coming back for more. One night, suddenly, Michael did crumple to the floor. The gang gathered around him. They were looking for a pulse to see if he was breathing, and he was, but it was very slow and labored. So they just kept like standing around and watching him, just waiting for his chest to stop rising and falling. They knew it would taper out eventually. It didn't. He started to snore. And several hours later, he woke up, rubbed his eyes, and said, "Give me some more of the old regular, my lad."
Oh my.
Tony would often let him sleep in the back of his speakeasy so he could work off his hangovers, just hoping to kill him the next day, but it just was not working. So soon, their plan to murder Michael for money was obviously backfiring. The monthly premiums were coming, plus the alcohol tab that they kept shelling out, plus, they were feeding him still sardine sandwiches throughout all of this, plus the price of the wood alcohol. All of this was adding up. This was costing a lot more than they thought. They weren't getting much to begin with. They were getting a lot.
They were getting $17,000 in today's money. They were each going to have $17,000. So let's keep that in mind.
And they're spending all of this night after night just to get him to die, plus the monthly premiums on insurance, on his life insurance policy. So let's keep that in mind. Cool. Fearing that his speakeasy would go bankrupt, Tony was obviously growing more and more impatient and wanted to get physical again, but Pasqua had a different plan. Everyone knew Michael Malloy liked seafood. They didn't know his age. They didn't know if he had any friends or family, but they knew he liked seafood. So Pasqua proposed they soak oysters in this denatured alcohol and give them to Michael while he drank antifreeze. He said one time he saw someone eating oysters and drinking at the same time who died. So he was hoping that the indigestion caused from the poisoned oysters and the straight up poison he was drinking would do the trick. So once again, this did not work. Night after night, he just kept taking shots of antifreeze, taking shots of poisoned oysters, one after the next, slurping them all up. Just nothing at all. So Murphy tried his idea next, which was to serve Michael a rotten sardine sandwich filled with very sharp shrapnel from the tin can. So all of this put into a sandwich. Surely they thought the shrapnel from this tin would tear apart his guts, as you would think. At least your esophagus, like you'd swallow that, like it would cut your throat, No. Nope. Michael ate the sandwich and asked for another one. He just wanted more. He's having a great time. He thinks these people are his friends. Like, he's having a blast. That's the thing that gets me throughout all of this. He thinks that they're his friends. Like, it's both so heartwarming and just so sad.
Is it heartwarming?
It's heartwarming that,
good for you. You
thinks that they're his friends.
Okay, but Madison, would you think it was heartwarming if I was planning to kill you this entire time?
Oh my gosh, no. I mean, when I say it's heartwarming, I mean,
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, okay, it is. It's heartbreaking. It makes me happy that he thought that he had friends. But it's heartbreaking to know that he actually didn't. But he didn't know any the wiser. I'm not saying that's a good thing. That's heartbreaking. It's awful. It's really awful.
I want to hug this man.
I know. I just want to give him a big hug. I just want to hug him so bad. It gets so much worse, Hailey. Just wait. Okay. So,
all right.
The antifreeze he was drinking was replaced with turpentine, which is basically like Pine Sol. Do you know what Pine Sol is?
Yeah.
The cleaning agent.
Yeah, the Pine Sol.
Okay. Lady. Yeah, it's basically, that's what turpentine is. Horse lineament, which is like a horse topical, and rat poison. They would serve him straight up rat poison.
According to Scream Queens, rat poison only works on rats because they don't have a gag reflex. So
it's thought, scientifically, it's thought that the actual alcohol he was drinking, both any alcohol they were giving to get him feeling good before they switched it over, or any alcohol he was drinking before coming to the speakeasy, because he was an alcoholic, it was thought that actually counteracted the methane that was in the poisons and the antifreeze. There was some scientific thing about it, but that's the long and short of it. They think that all of the alcohol he was drinking counteracted the methane. Okay, so Tony remembered the success. Pasqua said earlier he killed a woman by freezing her to death. So he's like, hey, that worked great. Why don't we try that? Because this is clearly not working. So they did. After Michael was good and unconscious, passed out from drinking, Tony and Pasqua took him to Crotona Park, drug him through the snow, and mind you, it was negative 14 degrees Fahrenheit, which is negative 26 degrees Celsius. They took off all of his clothes, laid him on a park bench, and dumped 5 gallons of water on him. 5 gallons in negative 14 degree Fahrenheit. No clothes. So Michael he was still passed out through all this, didn't move a muscle. So they left him there on the park bench, went back home. When Tony went to work the next day to his speakeasy, he found Michael Malloy waiting for him. Michael had woken up, walked the whole way back to the speakeasy, and when he woke up from being passed out, he mentioned that he caught a wee chill. That was it. Yeah. So, quick time check. Now it's February. Again, this started back in July, and they started actually trying to kill him in December. So, it's been a month of them trying to kill him, and it's not happening.
It's been 2 months.
Yeah, sorry, 2 months now. More desperate than ever, because now they have to pay another monthly premium on his insurance, and they spend all of this money still on things that have not worked out. All of this alcohol, all of this freaking antifreeze, all of this food they're feeding him. Oysters are not cheap. Like, they're giving him all this stuff. So what do? They bring another person in, more people to split the money with. They bring in a taxi driver named Harry Green, and they bribe him with $150,000, which is about almost $3,000 today, to hit him with his car. So the entire crew got Michael drunk again. They all hopped into the cab, and they held him up in front of the cab to get hit. So they would help balance him up so he could actually stand, and then hop out of the way so they didn't get hit. But then Michael dodged out of the way 2 times. The freaking car missed him 2 times when they were purposely trying to hit him. He's drunk as fuck. So on the 3rd attempt, Green went 50 miles an hour and hit Michael spot on. They heard the thuds on the roof of the hood of the car, the roof, and then they heard his body roll off the trunk and onto the street. Just for good measure, they backed over him. And then they saw a car coming and they sped off. So they thought he was dead, but they just sped off because a car was coming. 5 days later, the crew was growing a little nervous. They hadn't seen Michael, but they also hadn't heard of any death notices. They had actually even called around to hospitals and newspapers and looked for any signs of a missing person that might have showed up dead or unidentified, anything like that. They couldn't find anything, so they were getting really nervous. Pasqua even began to plot to run over another drunk. Literally any drunk, just to pass off, just to get the insurance money. And the gang turned on Joe Murphy and ran him over with a car. He didn't die either, but he spent 2 months in the hospital. So 5 days later, Michael comes strolling in. He says, "I sure am dying for a drink." That is a quote. And he doesn't look he's limping a little bit, a little beat up, but he doesn't look too bad. Like, he's no broken bones or anything.
The way I would cry, I would be so frustrated. I'd be so irritated.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Oh, it's almost over, but not yet. So he said that he remembered the taste of whiskey, the cold night air, the incoming headlights, and then darkness. He woke up in Fordham Hospital, only wanting to leave to get back to his friends at the bar. How heartbreaking is that? That's so heartbreaking. It's not funny, but I just want to give him a hug. That's it. I want to give him a hug.
I want to hug this man.
Okay, so
I hope the story ends with him making a ton of money somehow and fleeing and being happy for the rest of his days.
Unfortunately, I'm about to break your heart because that's not at all the case.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Okay, so on February 22nd, frustrated, fed up, broke, the crew, now 5 of them, finally finished their plan 7 months after they initially started. So, all of those times before, okay. When it comes to life insurance, the caveat is the death has to be a naturally occurring one or accidental. It has to be either it can't be malicious for you to get life insurance.
Right.
So that's why all of these different attempts were accidentally got hit by a car. He's outside freezing to death. He drank too much and drank himself to death. Trying to be a little inconspicuous. These fuckers literally, they made sure it was done for good. So after Michael passed out, they took him up to Murphy's apartment, the guy they hit with the car instead of Michael, who they also didn't kill. They put a rubber hose in his mouth, connected that to a gas jet for a lamp in the apartment, and they turned it on. And within 10 minutes, Michael was dead. So a doctor friend of Pasqua filed a death certificate citing lobar pneumonia as the cause of death, which is basically whenever sacks of fluid fill up in your lungs. Obviously, that wasn't the real cause of death. Obviously, this was a scummy doctor, but they got that on the death certificate. They buried him quickly. They got the insurance money. Despite collecting the insurance money, the group could not agree on how to split it up, and they argued for weeks about it. They kept confronting... Well,
there is a 5th person now, so...
Yeah.
Now everyone would get...
Well, see, that's the thing. So there are technically 5 people now, but they only promised Harry 150, but he wasn't happy with that because obviously he's in deep now.
Yeah. He was like, I just
did all this. Yeah, exactly.
I'm in this.
Yes. So between 5 people, how much would that be?
$13,600.
Again, still a decent chunk of change, but you spent so much money just trying to make this happen. Okay, so these disagreements went on for weeks, and they got so escalated, it got to the point where Tony got shot outside of his speakeasy. He lived, but he got shot, and obviously this isn't inconspicuous anymore. It drew police attention. Even in the 1930s, somebody getting shot, the police are going to come knocking on your door. So this, plus the fact that policemen were hearing rumors in speakeasies around town about Iron Mike and Mike the Durable, this all kind of led to them questioning things, and they put the pieces together. They weren't under the radar anymore by the slightest. So finally, they had Michael exhumed, and they sent all, now 5 members of the murder trust to the electric chair, except for Harry, the cabbie, who received life in prison. On the 20th anniversary of his murder, the Sarasota Tribune reported, although Michael was finally murdered, his last 3 months were probably his happiest, which is both so sad and probably just so true because he thought he had friends. He had all of the alcohol he wanted. He was doing exactly what he wanted, and it was just really sad. But that is the story of Michael Malloy, the man who wouldn't die.
Do they know why he, why didn't he die?
I don't know.
Is that not known?
Either, so for the antifreeze part, like I had mentioned, because he had drunk so much actual alcohol, I think it was both his tolerance was very high and the actual alcohol he drank counteracted the methane. But that was one part. That was just for the poison. The shrapnel, we have no idea. I guess it just didn't affect him. Getting hit by a car, I guess he just didn't get hit the right way. Freezing, I mean, he did wake up and make his way back to, I don't know how he made his way back, but he just did, I guess. Maybe the alcohol kept him warm. I don't know.
Man, I wish that I was as, like...
resilient.
Yeah, consistent. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. I wanted to tell that story since we thought of this idea for the podcast because I love that story, but it is heartbreaking. I want to give Michael a hug so bad. Thank you for joining us for another week of My Existential Crisis. You can find us on all of the social medias at MEC Crisis Pod. We're everywhere you find your content. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please rate us and what's it called? Leave a review. Yeah, that'd be really great if you could do that. If you have a story you want us to cover, feel free to. Owen, I promise yours is coming next week.
No one wants me to do anything. No. So. Let's keep it that way. I hate when people have expectations of me.
Okay, well then if you have something that you want me to cover, ask Madison. Madison
I'm kidding. If you want that Hailey flair, just let us know.
Yeah, you know what? That's another fun thing. You can request who tells the story too.
Yeah.
Because we got different flares going on.
Yeah, if you want it lazy and half-assed, ask for Hailey.
If you want a whole school essay with all of the details, ask Madison.
Boom, baby.
All right.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next time.
Catch you on the flippity flop.
Bye.
I hate that I said that.